Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Behind the Boom podcast. Your host, Amber Alrafei, and I am so stoked who we have on my show today. We're over here in Miami, and I have Jenn Drummond on here. I actually had you on my podcast a couple of years way back when, and we've done a rebrand, a relaunch, and so many things have happened, and so many things have happened in your world that we just need to come back to this. So I'm really excited to have you on my show here today. I just was on your show. I'm like, why are we not doing it back to back here?
Here we are, efficient and effective. There we go, ladies.
She got to do an outfit swap. I didn't do an outfit swap. So whoever's listening is not going to see that, but they might see it for content. I am so excited to have you on here. You have such an incredible story. And we just spent the last 5 days here in Miami at the Aspire Tour, at the $100 million Mastermind. I mean, we've been to all different places, seeing incredible people. Your incredible face is all over that room and on stage and as one of the speakers. So, and some people will say, well, who is this Jenn Drummond? What does she have going on? And I think a lot of people still need to know who the heck you are and what you've done, because your story is so impactful and so crazy. So on the outside, they might just see this beautiful blonde that climbs mountains, but can you please dive in to where it all began?
Yeah. Great intro.
Thank you.
You do this a little bit, huh?
Hey guys, it's your host, Amber Alrafei, and welcome back to another episode of Behind the Boom podcast.
Like a boom, 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 boom.
So I grew up in Holland, Michigan, right? Little Michigander. I have a huge extended family because my dad's one of 13. I have 3, I'm one of 3. And then I don't know, I think I was always wired to explore and experience, right? Like that was in me. And I was curious, and I like to push my body to find its limits. I got into business for a while, kind of lost my athletic roots, which was probably not the best season of my life. Became a mom. That was a struggle, right? I had definitely struggled with pregnancy and things like that. So now I'm a mom of 7. So you would never guess that I struggled with fertility issues. And I got into the motions of life of just checking the boxes and forgetting to feel.
Right.
And in those box checking moments, I was like, it kind of came ahead at a Thanksgiving Day classroom party. I know. Yeah.
Well, that's a place, right?
Yeah, that's a place to have it all come ahead.
Moments can happen.
Moments happen. And this was a moment where this other mom came into the classroom with a turkey sweater, turkey hair feathers for my hair, and turkey socks. And she's like, we're running this classroom party together. I got you a matching outfit.
Oh my God.
I went into the bathroom. I went into the bathroom and I put it on, fighting back tears, wondering what decisions I made in my life that led me to this moment. How is this me? I am so grateful. There are Pinterest moms. That is not me.
No, I'm not a Pinterest mom. Those moms that show up when it's Halloween or Christmas, and they have my kids come home with little baggies of stacked snowmans made out of marshmallows and chocolate chips and all these things, and they're on a stick. And I'm are you kidding me right now? Who had time to make that? Well, Joey's mom did. I'm like, we're not Joey's mom.
Yeah.
We're DoorDashing that shit.
Thank gosh that we have a Joey's mom, because she is balancing out your mama.
Exactly.
But so I was... Yeah, that was one of these things. And then I told myself, once my kids get to college, then I'll get back to me.
Right.
And we do that if-then statement a lot in our lives. Luckily for me, a month later, I got into a horrific car crash that should have killed me. We have no clue how it didn't. But in the moments before the car collided with the semi, time dilated. And I remember negotiating with death. If you let me live, I promise I'll do something significant with my life. And then the whole accident happens, and I remember hanging upside down in this car. I'm like, Jennifer, you should have asked to make sure that you're not paralyzed. I was so afraid I was going to be paralyzed, or am I even alive? What's going on? Luckily for me, I came out unscathed physically, but emotionally, I was a new human. That accident was a line in the sand. I'm like, I don't think I'm meant to just check boxes. No. I think I'm meant to feel and experience and explore more again. And so 2019 became the year of the bucket list for me.
Right.
What are things I want to see, do, experience, and try?
So what were some of these things on this magnificent bucket list?
Yeah, I was like, I want to go to Antarctica.
Right.
I want to chase pasta in Italy.
Yes.
I want to swim the Great Barrier Reef. I want to climb a mountain. I was like, it's kind of funny because I look at the list. There were no museums or anything like that in there. Isn't that funny? Like, when you're like 90 and not able to move or whatever, like maybe I'll look at museums then. But mine was definitely, I wanted to travel.
Yeah. Adventurous.
Adventurous.
See things, do things.
Yeah.
Yes. So where did the idea come of actually climbing a mountain? I mean, people can put that on the bucket list and it never gets checked off.
Yeah.
Right. So at what point in your life were you like, I'm actually going to go and climb a mountain that led you to climbing how many mountains now?
Yeah, I've like climbed 30 now, I'm sure.
Oh my goodness.
No, it's crazy. So I was on that list. I realized 2020, I was turning 40. So I'm like, okay, well, if I'm turning 40, what on my bucket list do I want to do for my birthday to launch that next decade of life? And so for me, I live in the mountains of Park City, right? So I'm like, I'm going to climb a mountain. I want to get to the top of a mountain. Like, I've climbed in Park City and it's gorgeous to see the city below. And it's fun to go on an out and back trail because what you're thinking about on the way up is not what you're thinking about on the way down. So it's just an easy way to move through emotions and stories and thoughts for me. So that climb a mountain turned into climbing Everest, which turned into setting a world record. And it got me excited because I'm like, oh, I'm going to set this world record of being the first woman to climb the 7-second summits, which I didn't even know what they were at the beginning. My coach suggested the idea, but it's the second highest point in each continent. And he goes, there's 7 continents, there's 7 mountains, you have 7 children. It sounds like a jackpot. And I'm like, it does.
It does. I love it.
I'm here for it because it checked the boxes of like exploring, experiencing the world, going around, doing something significant, being the first woman to do anything, I think is important.
Yeah.
And so that's what I leaned into.
It's incredible. I love that story. I wanted to hear it again. So tell me, after that, you have launched a book. When did you launch your book, and tell people about that? What was the purpose behind it, and how does that story sort of unveil?
Yeah. So I got hired during the pursuit to give a speech about climbing Everest. And I'm like, well, I don't know if I'm qualified for this, but I'm like, I'll say yes. So I said yes. And I went and did this speech and I was like, oh, I love this. Like, I love the energy exchange. I love watching the audience get the aha moment. I love like living the emotion of the stories again. It just like allows me to have that experience more than once, which I'm really grateful for. Yeah. And so then when I like was done, they gave a standing ovation. They recommended me to other people. And I had been told, like, if you want to keep doing this, you should write a book. Because a book builds authority and it gives you like an idea of the stories that you can tell to go into places and share. And so then I decided, okay, I'm going to write a book to get onto stage. And the book takes the reader to the different climbs and it brings a lesson from the climb to corporate and our personal lives so that you can apply it. And I think we're all climbing.
And we're all climbing.
We're all climbing.
So what could you give for a valuable tip like that might just be in your book of how somebody can take that sort of perspective of climbing a mountain, like you said, climbing that peak, and then bring it into like our everyday life of how can I be better in mom world, or how can I be better in business world?
Yeah. I think one of my favorite analogies of climbing is acclimatizing. So when you climb Mount Everest, you don't just start at base camp and go to the top of Mount Everest.
Right.
You actually will go from base camp to Camp 1. You'll hit a point of failure, right? Your body can't go anymore because there's no oxygen in the air. You're not trained to handle that lack of oxygen. So you hit Camp 1 and you go all the way back down to base camp. And you have to sit at base camp for the next 3 days so your body can physiologically change. And what it does is it produces more red blood cells. And so now after 3 days, and if the weather lines up, you have these more red blood cells. Now you can hike up to the Camp 1. It's not hard. It's actually easy. You're like, oh, this is what it feels like to have oxygen. This is amazing. And now you go to Camp 2 and hit a point of failure. And then you come all the way back down to base camp. Your body changes and does what it needs to do to go higher. And so when we're a mom or when we're building a business, we're going to hit points of failure, right? Like, oh, we overbooked the family. Oh, I have too much going on. Like that point of failure doesn't mean you're a bad mom or you're a bad person or the business isn't going to grow. It means like what I did was to a breaking point. What did I learn from that? How do I integrate what I learned into being more successful the next time I go to climb? Right?
Yeah.
And so it's just a lot of times if we just give ourselves permission to be acclimatizing to this experience,
100%.
now we have permission to continue and dissect what happened to use it to help us continue.
I love that. I love where you went with that, because all that I'm thinking of in that perspective is as I'm climbing in my business, when you hit that point of shit, that didn't work. You know, do we need to tear it all down? I mean, there's been times where we're just taking it all down. We're starting from fresh. Every time that you make that change in your business or in life, it always ends up being, at least for me, something even greater the next round. That if I would have stayed right there and maybe I just climatized and you stayed at Camp 1, like nothing happens, right? Growth doesn't happen. Change doesn't happen. There's nothing that's evolving. You're just sort of stagnant. So, and you can look at that from a perspective of your business as well, if you're just staying there. So maybe in order for you to get out of that spot, out of base 1 or base 2, you're going to have to drop back down. You got to lose everything. Maybe you've lost clients, you've lost money, you've lost employees, whatever that looks like. But then what can you do to rise? And the next level is going to break that base camp and take you right to another.
Yeah.
I think I might put just a really good picture of a mountain on my wall in the office to say, this is where we're, and then I could tell my husband, that's okay. We're just at base camp 2. We're going back down. We're going to climb back up to base camp 3 next time. Let's go.
Right.
Yes.
Like having those visual cues or having that story of normalizing these experiences is so important because it's the permission slip to continue.
Yes, absolutely. So that was the 7 peaks, the 7 summits, right? Mm-hmm. But you've mentioned that you've climbed now over 30 mountains.
Yeah. So it's bananas. But what happened is a lot of times when I would go to an area, we'd actually acclimatize on like the highest peak, right? So I did Kilimanjaro and then I climbed Mount Kenya. Or you did, when I was in South America, I did Ojos del Salado. And so I'm like, you know what? I want to go back and climb the highest peak. So I'm going to climb Aconcagua. So I'm 2 mountains away from hitting another world record of having the first and the seconds. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to do that. Also, when I was climbing the seconds and we thought we were done, when I went to file with Guinness World Records, so like there's a dispute on what's a continent. And we actually want you to climb more mountains just to cover every possible version. I'm like, what? How do we have a dispute on continents in today's day and age? But there is. So I had to climb 9 mountains for the 7-second summits. And then like sometimes like I would be going to Mount Logan, which is in North America, which is a very difficult climb. I would fly down to South America first and go climb down there to get my body ready to be able to handle the lack of oxygen in North America and make that an easier climb. So you climb and you're climbing and you're climbing and you're climbing.
Wow. So you've got 7 kids. What do they all think of this? Has any of them ever sparked an interest to want to climb?
Yeah. So I've actually taken my 3 oldest boys and we've climbed Kilimanjaro together because I wanted them to experience it. The younger kids, we've done like ice climbs or rock climbs in Utah. But I'm waiting till they get a little bit older so we can do a significant mountain together.
Right. So what do you think that this experience that you have been on has helped you in your personal life to evolve, whether that's in your business or as a mom? But in general, if you take that experience of climbing mountains and what you put your body physically and emotionally through, and now you come back to like real world, how does that help or not help? Or what do you do to sort of transfer back into that normal space of like the oxygen levels, all of it? I mean, that's just crazy. You're putting your body through so much, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, for me as a mom, I think climbing mountains has allowed me to share the struggle with my kids, right? Like I need to sacrifice. I can't go out to dinner with my friends tonight. If they want to hang out with me, we have to hike. I have to bring a step to your soccer practice so that when you're playing soccer, I can watch you, but I can do my workout on the sideline while you're doing your thing. And so I think for me, it made struggle visual,
Right.
where a lot of times our kids see us, but they don't see us struggling. So then it's not normalized. And so they don't get it. And so when my kid's frustrated doing his math homework, I'm like, dude, I get it. I'm frustrated that I have to eat healthy dinner tonight. I want to eat pizza and I should eat chicken. And so I'm not going to. And like, it's like the same, right? And so we're doing life in parallel instead of like me always being here and them being here, and allowing us to be in that space together has really strengthened our relationship.
Right.
And then at the same time, like going to these exotic places and doing these really hard climbs and having a lot going on, and then coming back to life, there's an on and off ramp to that. Like, so I gave myself, at first I was like, oh, I can't be gone any extra longer. I need to be home immediately. But if you're home immediately and you're trashed, you're not home.
Right.
Your body's there, but you're not there.
You're exhausted. Yeah.
You're exhausted. So for me, before I go on a climb, I will go to the area a day early and just connect to the land, connect to the people, connect to like what this environment is, and kind of check out of home.
Right.
And then when I'm done with the climb, I'll give myself a day or two to, what were the lessons? What did I learn? What is the story that I want to tell about this? How am I putting this into my body and integrating this experience into who I am? So that when I come home and they're like, what'd you do? How was it? Like I'm prepared to do that.
Right.
Right.
You got the energy and you're kind of climatized. You're ready to go back into mom mode.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I think like if you're looking at your week of a business and you're trying to build that out, like I really do try to on and off ramp my weeks even.
Right.
So my Mondays and Fridays are my lighter days. They're my transition days from the weekend to the week. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I hustle and work. And then on Saturday and Sunday, like I play hard with the crew.
Right. I love it.
Yeah.
And that's balance, right?
Yeah.
And we all kind of struggle sometimes with balance and how do you balance? You must have a killer husband who stays with these 7 kids while you go and climb mountains, because it's not like you're gone for a day. I thought, oh, you're climbing a mountain, you're back in 2 or 3 days. But you mentioned one of the mountains takes about 20 days to climb.
Yeah, I luckily did not have that experience. So like for me, I couldn't be gone. And this is what's interesting in life. Like you'll hear this, like Everest takes 8 weeks to climb, or Aconcagua takes 21 days to climb. I can't do that. Like I can't be gone that long.
Right.
And so instead of that stopping me from what I'm doing, that was like a cue of like, okay, well, how do I solve that problem?
Right.
Right. And so I went to my doctor in Utah, which we have altitude doctors because we're altitude and people come ski and get sick. And so I talked to him. I'm like, hey, what are my options? And he's like, you know what? There's this company called Hypoxico that makes tents that you can sleep in or train with that mimic that lack of oxygen environment.
Wow.
So you can pre-acclimatize at home. So for me, like a climb that's 21 days, I can go in there and do it in 5 because I was able to acclimate at home and cut some of the rotations off the mountain down. And so it just makes me laugh because we all have this reason of why we can't do something.
Right.
And instead of that being a stop sign, let that be like a caution sign and say, okay, this is where I think I need to stop, but that's not true. What are other solutions that I just don't know of yet?
Right. And that's crazy that somebody actually thought of inventing something like that.
I know, right? Well, and here's why, of course, because there's a ton of money in professional sports.
Yes.
When you're a football team from Florida and need to go play in Denver, that's a huge advantage to everybody that lives in Denver. So like, how can we get these athletes ready to do the Tour de France, to do like these games at altitude and still not sacrifice their performance?
Right. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. How would you tell somebody that's in business, in the entrepreneurial world, who doesn't do extreme sports, who's not an athlete? I mean, I talked to so many moms who they don't even exercise or work out. We talked about that on your podcast of elevating yourself, breaking a sweat. What is one key thing to help somebody to really increase their focus and put themselves out there when it comes to the health side of things?
Yeah. I mean, I think health is the real wealth.
Right?
Right? Because if you're not healthy, you're not going to work, you're not providing for your family, you're not doing anything. And just really, like, we're not here to be robots. Like, we're here to be people and experience life. So how do you take care of this vessel in which you get to do life in?
Right.
And it's hard being new. Like I remember like someone asked me to go play pickleball for the first time.
Right.
Like I don't like being bad at things, right? I'm like, I want to be good at this, but you have to be bad to be good and you have to be willing. And like, so for me, again, like yoga, in Park City, I swear everybody is like the cover of a magazine for yoga.
Right, yes.
And so for me to get into yoga first, I actually went on vacation.
And did all the yoga classes
Did all
over
the
there.
yoga classes. So I came back and I knew what a downward dog was. So I
Right.
knew what like these like things were, and I could like at least flow with the class.
Yeah.
So like, don't shame yourself.
Right.
Like just ask yourself, like, what would I need to do for me to be comfortable to take the next step?
Yes.
And give that to yourself.
Exactly.
And make that possible and allow it to look different. Like my coach would make these training plans for these mountains. I'm like, that ain't happening, sweetheart. I'm sorry. I have a business, I have children, I have things.
Right.
And so, and I just had this rule that I wasn't going to put up a 0.
Right.
Right. So that meant maybe the workout didn't look like a 4-hour hike because that wasn't going to happen. It looked like an hour Zoom call on a treadmill at an angle, plus an hour on a step up at a soccer game, plus an hour. Like, I mean, it was just ad hoc put together.
Yeah. I think this is great because I think a lot of people will look at their daily dues. I always call it the daily dues. Do you create a list every morning?
Oh yeah,
right?
I love the power of checking something off.
The power
is
of
so
checking
good.
off, and you feel like, right? I've told my husband before. I think the power of checking something off is like better than an orgasm. I'm like, check. Too much information. But as somebody who is checking off a list, how important do you think it is for them to have that time for themselves and whatever that looks like, but having that time for themselves in the morning or whatever point a piece of that day is to really focus on them, focus on their health, focus on their mindset, and then starting their day? What do you sort of do? What does your morning routine look like in that sense?
Oh yeah, no, I'm a hawk on that. And actually, I don't have a huge morning routine. I have the night before routine.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So
You're
like the
prepping.
night before, I'm gonna role play what my next day is in my mind, like run through it. What outfits do I need? What shoes do I need? What snacks do I need? Like all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Who needs to be where? Who's doing what? So that when I wake up in the morning, it was like I already had the dress rehearsal. And so
Right.
now I just have to go do the performance. And then it also allows, like when things start going sideways, which they always do, like what's your toolkit to get back online, right? So like, for example, if I'm running way behind and meetings took longer or my energy isn't where I want it to be and it's evening time and kids are coming home from school, like what can I cut to give us back like space to show up?
Right.
So sometimes, we might have planned on doing dinner at home and now it's Chipotle being delivered.
Yeah.
Not ideal, but I would rather have how I show up energy more intact than them eating like a home cooked meal.
Is it really a bad thing to have Chipotle door dashed a couple times a week?
Yeah.
My kids love
is anybody
barbacoa.
judging me? Please don't.
I've had, since we made this move to Miami, my parents have been helping out and staying with the kids until I find nannies and aftercare and all of that stuff, right? So I'm like running a business, running all things, and then running with 2 kids and trying to get them, into their routines. And my dad would always say, your mom always cooked meals, always did. And so they just made banana bread the other day. I'm saying, Dad, that was mom, because mom was a stay-at-home mom. They're stay-at-home moms. Like, kudos to them, because I thought that's what I was going to be when I had my son. And it lasted about 7 months until I was getting real antsy. But I think finding that balance, and if it means that you cannot do I think home cooked meals are kind of overrated. They should be done on Sundays, and just make it do and make it something healthy. I'm not saying run in the McDonald's drive-through, but there's nothing wrong with Chipotle. I think that's great. Well, talking about balance and you having 7 children, and you mentioned running a business, and then you've launched your book, and now because of what you do, it's so impactful. There's nobody out there in the world. There's a reason why you're on the world Guinness Book of Records. There's nobody out there in the world doing what you do. So is it exhausting, or where do you find the time, and how do you choose what makes most sense for you to go and put yourself out there and be on that stage and share your story with that audience?
Yeah. So I don't really believe in balance.
Neither do I.
I
We're
believe
good.
in presence, right? So whatever I'm doing, I need to be present at, because if I build my calendar with intention, then I know I've put time in there for my kids. I've put time in there for myself. I put time in there for the business. And so now my job is just to execute with presence.
Right.
And that's going to feel good. So I'm very big on that. With the kids, like if I get hired to speak in Virginia or Tennessee or Arizona, which I do, I'll bring one with me.
Right.
Right. And so then we get to hang out on the airplane, and then we have like popcorn at the hotel, and we'll watch a movie in our room. And then I have an hour speech. right? They get to watch it. Then they'll watch people talk to me afterwards, and we'll go out to dinner and have that kind of stuff. So like everything can be an experience if you make it one.
Exactly.
And the nice thing about speeches is that you know you're going to have one way in advance. And so then you can prepare and plan for that. I'm looking at potentially hosting some events in Park City, just getting people outside and unplugged.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And like in the wellness space and fitness and all that. Yes.
Yeah.
People love that, especially all these high level entrepreneurs that are just go, 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 go. Like come and unwind and do what's good for your head, your mind and body.
Yeah, I know. I'm super geeked about it because when we have people come visit, it's so funny at the ski hill. Like you can tell when it's a Friday at the ski hill versus a Sunday at the ski hill because they still haven't like learned how to downshift. Right. So Friday, everybody's like aggro and going and blah, blah, blah. We're only here for the weekend and da, 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 da. Yeah. And by Sunday, everybody's like, oh, I've been outside. I got fresh air. I'm a nicer human. You know, it's just funny. And I'm like, okay, I want to do that for people that maybe aren't into skiing.
Right.
Like, how do we get out there and just learn how to downshift and not always be in this high gear?
Yeah. I think that's important. Talking about your book and what you've done with launching your book, are you promoting and pushing and going on tours and doing those things for the book purpose or for sharing your story? Or I'm going to cut that out. I didn't know where I was going with that. Cut.
Fair.
Give me a second. I wanted to ask you one more thing. Do you have a question that you want me to ask you so that you can put in an answer?
I don't know.
I lost my train of thought for a second.
That's fine.
Because I wasn't prepared. Give me a second.
You're fine.
I want to go into business, entrepreneur in that space.
Okay.
Where did we leave off?
Just say, like, ask a question about how are you balancing business and professional or athletic pursuits or something?
Yeah, I like that. I want to go into that transition, yes.
Okay, perfect.
So I want to just kind of switch over into another sort of area of what you do, because I've talked to people before where they're all in athlete, right? Professional athlete, or they're all in entrepreneur, or they're all in mom, but you're like living the best life of all of these worlds. So can we kind of dial in a little bit and talk to our audience about how are we balancing this high level business life that you have? Because you've been a keynote speaker, you're on stages, people are reaching out and asking you to come out and share your story. So you've got that and alone can be a full-time role in itself. But then you're also a professional athlete and you're not just climbing 1, 2, and 3, you're climbing 30 plus mountains. So how are we balancing all of this out so that everybody's getting the best version of Jenn, right?
Yeah. So I think it's really important to like just go back in the story a little bit and realize that when I was building the business originally, like my financial service company that allowed me to payroll all these other aspects, I was in that 110%. Like I worked 12-hour days. I had no balance on the outside whatsoever. But like I was so passionate about what I was doing that it didn't really feel like work. It just felt like creation. And I love being in that creation mode. And then once I started having kids, I was like, oh, I want to be this stay-at-home mom. Like I grew up in an area that was the dream.
Right.
And so I was forced to like start evaluating how I was spending my time. And I started hiring some of the things that I thought I needed to do that really didn't need me to do them. Right. And so it was this gradual transition from business boss into motherhood, and to the point where like I hired myself out of a job. Right. And it was really hard at first because there's things that you realize like you like to do.
Yeah.
Right. And you convince yourself you're the best at them.
And you don't want to delegate.
And you don't want to delegate it. And part of it's like, I don't want someone to see my finances. Like I'm going to hold on to the finance piece the last or whatever.
Right.
But like putting yourself in a position, like if I had to take things off of my plate, what would I take off first?
Right.
And then that frees up time to do other things. But there is a season of hustle and grind. Like, I don't think there's a way out of that whatsoever. And so once you get that hustle and grind to generate enough income and you don't have lifestyle creep come in, now you can use some of that extra money to like start delegating pieces out. And it's hard.
Yeah.
And it's not perfect. Yeah. Like sometimes you'll give it to somebody and their definition of white is not your definition of white. And now you have a problem.
Yeah.
Right. And so like going through that evolution. Well, then I was this stay-at-home mom, and God bless all of you that are stay-at-home moms, because
Seriously.
that is a level of motherhood I was not cut out for.
Same.
Right.
I thought I was.
I wanted to be.
Yeah.
I mean, man, did I try to fit in that little hole that like I just was not that person. And so I didn't know how to get back to me.
Right.
And actually, it's funny, on a move. So when I moved the kids to Park City, Utah, we moved in January. When you move in January, you can't be like room mom or soccer mom or Sunday school
You're in the
mom.
middle of everything.
Because everything's already been established.
That's what I figured out. I couldn't even get them in dance, it's been a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
Yes.
But so like my kids like are on all these activities, and I wasn't doing the things I used to do because those roles had already been taken.
Yeah.
And so it was this biggest blessing, because now I all of a sudden had time to go back to me. Right. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to go work out. I'm going to do like this coffee. And I'm like, this is fun. Well, by the fall, like now all of a sudden they're asking for people to help in the classrooms and coach the teams and blah, 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 blah. And I just went back into my old self, and I started taking on these things again. And then like a few months into the fall, I'm like, what am I doing?
Right.
Like, why did I pick all this up again? Like no one made me, no one's watching. Like one of the biggest lessons I've learned in life is God loves the stay-at-home mom.
Don't join the PTA.
And God loves the hustle mom, and God loves the yoga mom, and God loves the Pilates mom. And so like there's no mom better than another.
No.
So just honor who you are, because you're loved for that role. And so then like it was like learning how to get out of that again, and the car accident happened, and that was like a big line in the sand of, now I'm going to be very intentional about building things I want to do in my life, because I'm going to die someday. And when I die, I'm by myself. I check out alone.
Yeah.
No one gets to say she sacrificed this or did whatever. And so I like really am intentional about, I don't just want to be known for the athlete. I don't want to just be known for motherhood. I don't want to just be known for business acumen. So I need to build my calendar to make sure that I'm not too heavy in one of these areas, even though seasons might be heavy.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And allowing it to look like what feels good to me. And that's a journey.
That is a journey.
That's
And
a journey.
It's a wild ride.
It's
right?
a climb.
It's a climb.
It's a climb. And it looks different because everybody has opinions.
Yeah.
And so then you're like, okay, I want to make sure I'm living my life from my truth, not others' truth. And like, we were at this mastermind this week. It feels good to like have something that you can say like, I did this.
You did it. You can't.
Right? And you're like, well, that's kind of ego driven.
Yeah.
How can I sit in myself and not have something to stake my name on, and still love myself the same level?
Yeah.
And that's a thing.
That is a thing. And like live in it, own it, right? Yes. Own it. What about these moms that are there's so many of them that are stay-at-home moms because that's where they thought they wanted to be. And then there's opportunity for wanting more. But what would you say to that mom that is like, it's that mom that we once were, maybe when the kids were babies, and we're like, we need to transition and get the heck out of here.
Yeah.
And what would you say to that mom? What's that first step forward that they can do to get out there, see what's out there for them? Because then they might also say, well, they'll give the excuses. I'm too old for that. Or I've been out of that space for this many years. Or I don't have a following. I can't go this way. That's kind of why I always lean into network marketing. I'm like, go join a network marketing company. It'll give you a mindset shift. You'll build a community. It'll be great. And eventually you'll make money.
Yeah. For me, it's really letting it look different than what it used to look like. Right? Like, because I told myself, like, I can't get back into finance because I was like hustle and grind and 12-hour days, and I can't do that and be a mom. Well, there's other definitions of getting back into like volunteering and helping, and it's allowed to look different. And believe it or not, you have a ton of value to add, even if it's only 10 hours a week somewhere instead of 40.
Yes, exactly.
Right? Like your experience and your knowledge and your viewpoint and all the things that you've done in your life give you this unique way of showing up that only you can bring.
Yeah.
And so just giving yourself permission to let it look different than it looked before, and to test it and be like, like I have a girlfriend who helps out at Sundance in Park City. And so it's like this stint for 3 months, and then because they got to on-ramp it, do it, and then off-ramp it. And then it's nothing. And that's enough for her to like have something that she built and created and did, and then do the kids the rest of the year.
Yeah.
And so like there's project-based work, there's like part-time work, there's I'm going to test it and I thought I liked it and I don't, so I'm done.
Yeah.
And there's no shame in that.
Exactly. And I love the idea of getting your kids involved. So if you want to be a stay-at-home mom, but you're bored or you want to do something different, why not be a stay-at-home mom, but do something to monetize from it? I'm always talking to my husband about what are things that we can do to monetize with our kids, build something. You see all these kids, oh, I built this slime. I created, this, I created that. So there's opportunities there that allows you to just still be that stay-at-home mom. You're 110% focused on mom life if that's what you want to do. But why not maybe together build something of monetary value? Or maybe it's not to make money, but it's more of a hobby and see where it goes. But there's always that sort of shift that you don't need to be stuck. Life's too short to be stuck in this like little hole that you're not living your best life. And I have a lot of people in my family, like extended family, cousins, aunts and uncles, live in these little towns, never traveled, never been on an airplane. And I'm always just feeling, I can't feel bad because they don't know any different, but I just feel like there's so much more, but you're just living there just to exist. Why live to just exist when there's so much world out there to see or to do? Maybe it's not to make money. Maybe it's just to do, like you wanted to travel, but you turn the traveling into, climbing every mountain out there, right?
Right.
Yeah, to do something. My goodness.
Yeah. No, once we get, and if we can lead with this like idea of serving, right? So I have 7 kids that are into 7 entirely different activities, from making rugs to mixing music to like
They couldn't all be in soccer, right?
I know, right? Like, can we just have something that I can get good at to help you? No, not at all. Everybody's going to do something different. But like leaning into their hobbies and their interests and like supporting them and like learning together, right? Like I'm learning how to make a rug with a rug gun. Who would have thought? Never in my idea, but here we are.
It's fantastic. This has been so much fun, Jen. I'm so glad that we're able to like reconnect, bring the story out again, especially I have a whole new audience and just a whole new people of different calibers that are following, and to see what you're up to and give you an opportunity to take a platform and share your story and what you've been through and what's led up to the mountains that you've climbed and that you continue to climb. It's been such an honor and a blessing to have you here all the way over from Utah. So I hope you're going to be in Miami more.
Yeah, I mean, come on, the vibe here is fun.
Right? It's a great vibe. Where can people find you? Where can they get your book? Where can they follow you?
Yeah. Okay, so for everybody that's listening today, if you want to text the word Everest to the number 33777, I'm going to give you a video of the Milky Way galaxy going over Everest Base Camp. And the reason why I do that is it just allows us to interrupt ourselves and connect back to something bigger than us when life gets hard or overwhelming, and it like grounds me into who I am. So I want you to have that, Everest to 33777. Otherwise, JennDrummond.com, the Jenn Drummond on Instagram. Say hi, reach out. My book's sold everywhere books are sold.
That's incredible.
Thank
you so much, Jen. And until next time, thank you so much, you guys. This is another episode of Behind the Boom podcast. We will see you next time.